Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel, Ethereal Arts Studio, the place where I'm an artist, you're an artist, we are all artists. Today I'm going to be painting to Jordan Peele's 2022 film, Nope. Every so often, we go back to horror and sci-fi. So the colors that we need are just a few. We will use black, blue, and white. Here I have a 3/4 of an inch brush, flat. Anything around that size will do. We're going to start with the sky in the back. So let's start with some black paint. And we use this brush to sweep along some of this black paint before we start to transition to a blue color. So as you can see, this is still just black. Go down about 2 or 3 inches from the top. Now it's about 4 or 5 inches. Then I wash the brush. Wash it, dry it pretty well. Then I take some blue and just pick up where I left off. So if you're painting with me, I want to welcome you to Ethereal Arts Studio once again. This is where we are all artists. So I am continuing with more blue paint. I wash it again, and I'm going to continue the same step to basically try to achieve a transition from dark to light. Now it's pretty much just blue. There's no more black paint on the brush. Now let's go lighter. So I'm going to add some white paint. The white paint will immediately change the painting as we are going for a very light sky blue. Ultimately, we want to achieve a color that is almost white as we continue to descend. Okay, so now let's add a little bit of water to some white to create a watered down white so that we can add some stars to the night sky. And for this we'll need a tiny brush, a detail brush or number 2 or something below that so that we can sprinkle some stars. I protect everything around. I put a board behind this so that the paint does not sprinkle all over, anything that you don't wish paint to get on. You sprinkle as many as you want, after which you want to give it some time to dry. So I'm going to use a hair dryer. This will dry it right up in about 45 seconds. After that, I'm going to move on to a smaller brush. This is a number 10 or anything from number 10 or number 12 flat you can use. It's a wet brush. It's been dipped in water. I dry it just a little bit, but I wanted to certainly have some water in it so that it can water down a little bit of blue paint, which I then add to this sky to apply some clouds. At this time, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel. We have tutorials on everything horror. Everything from Stranger Things to the Friday the 13th franchise, Jaws, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, The Thing, The Shining, The Exorcist, the Saw franchise, Alien franchise, Halloween, Hellraiser, Carrie, They Live, and so much more. Okay, so if you want some of the clouds to be a little bit brighter or less cloudy, less translucent, just add more paint and less water. So this is what I'm doing here. That's why this cloud looks a little stronger. As you will see, I'm going to add more clouds that are a little bit more paint, a little bit less water, so that they are brighter, they are less translucent and more imposing. So as always, you could leave any comment that you like. You can suggest also on what films or series you would like to see us create a tutorial to. You could also leave your thoughts on the film and what you thought about it. Or you could share your painting with us. Our email is in the description section and we will feature your art. Okay, so now let's add some shadow to these clouds. So let's mix blue and a little bit of black paint. It's more blue than black, but it's going to obviously change it to a dark navy. So now we add this underneath some of these clouds. And after you add some shadow, then you take your paintbrush and wipe off most of the paint. Then you use that semi-dry brush now to rub and make these shadows a little bit softer around the edges. And now let's add some mountains. The mountains are going to be a dark bluish gray. So it's really a mixture of the navy blue that we just made. We put a little bit of white in it because, again, we want to make it like a gray color. It's still dark and it still has blue because if it's there and the clouds are hovering above it, the sky, then it's going to reflect the blue, right? So that's why it has a blue hue to it. So this is the easiest part of the painting. We simply just make two mountain shapes and then paint everything below it the same color. Although I will add a couple of little bumps here so that it could be, mountainous or has some terrain and it's not just a pyramid with a flat line, right? Okay, so now what I did is I dipped my wet brush into some blue paint, and kind of like we did with the clouds at the very beginning. So all it is like a very weak watered down blue that I'm gonna use to add some texture to these mountains, just so that they are not only silhouettes. They actually, you could see some light hitting them, and they're very faint, indications of land there. All right, so let's wash the brush and dry it really well. Let's take some blue and let's paint the infamous cloud at the center of this film. Now let's take some white paint. We don't have to wash the brush or anything. We just add the white paint, and since it's still wet, it's gonna mix nicely to create light at the top of this cloud. And now let's make some shadows. So we mix some of that blue with a little bit of black so that it could be a dark blue. And then we just dab that on to the bottom, to the very bottom. Then we wipe the paint off the brush so that what we do now is softer, it's cloudy. Just spread that until it even touches the light part. Then let's take just a little bit of black paint, just a little bit, and let's spread that on the bottom of this cloud so that it can make for an even darker shadow underneath there. So now let's make the string to the pennant banner. So all it is blue mixed with some white to make a very light blue. And we just add with a detail brush this long and wavy string tail. What I'm doing here is adding a little bit more detail to the mountains. All it is just some blue, just so that it could be a little bit more visible. Now I'm gonna kind of hide some of the top part of this tail, just by applying a little bit of navy blue. This is just to add some shadow to the very top, which is covered by the cloud. And then let's add some colors. We're gonna add tiny little triangles, and they're gonna get a little bit larger as you keep on going, down the string. All it is bright green, followed by yellow. Then it's going to be followed by blue, after which it will be then red and white. And then you simply continue the pattern. Once again, they get slightly larger as you proceed. Well, thank you so much for painting with me. Please share your painting with us. Our email is in the description section. Also, check out all of our other tutorials and playlists, and visit etherealartsstudio.com.